you gorgeous individuals, it's Kav here, and today I'm going to be doing the ENBY booktube tag. This tag was originally created by Rhiannon over at Crescent Moon Reads, and I was tagged to do this by Adriana over at Perpetual Pages, so I will link both of their renditions of this tag in the description below, as I highly recommend that you watch and support these creators because I love them both so much, and I love them as people and as creators, and I really truly do believe that they deserve all of your support, so definitely watch their versions of this tag and support them the way they deserve. But with that being said, you might be wondering what the ENBY booktube tag is. So as I previously said, it was originally created by Rhiannon over at Crescent Moon Reads, basically as a way to uplift the non-binary bookish community. For those of you who may not know, ENBY is actually a short form of the word non-binary, so it's just kind of a colloquial way of saying the word in a shorter way, I suppose. I don't really know how else to explain it, but essentially this tag is exactly to uplift non-binary members of the bookish community and books with non-binary characters, and just give some love to non-binary creators, authors, characters, etc. And in Rhiannon's original video, they talk long and hard about why they decided to create this book tag, so I really recommend that you check that out and hear their own personal explanation on why they decided to create this tag, because I think that they expressed it beautifully. But you do not have to be non-binary to do this tag. It is just a way to uplift non-binary bookish creators and content, but that doesn't mean that the person doing the tag has to be non-binary. Now, I myself am non-binary, which is part of the reason Adriana tagged me to do this tag, and I have used a variety of terms to address myself. I have used non-binary, I have used genderqueer, I have used gender fluid, and my journey with my gender has been a long and arduous one. While I am very comfortable in my sexuality as a lesbian, my relationship with my gender identity is a lot more complicated and a lot more difficult to explain, and I really am not fully comfortable with it yet. Currently, I use all three of these terms to describe me: non-binary, genderqueer, and gender fluid. So I really just know that I am not cis, and I am not binary trans. I am somewhere in between all of that. But yeah, gender is weird and complicated, and I think that's part of the reason why this tag is so perfect, because it helps us find people who might also relate to that journey of gender being weird and complicated, and we get exposure to more content that deals with that kind of conversation, because it is a tough one to have. And today, July 14th, also happens to be International Non-Binary Day, so I thought that it would be the perfect day to do this tag and shed some light on a part of my identity that I don't often talk about, but I definitely should talk about more. So with that, let's jump right into this video. Question number 1. Name a book that features an ENBY character. So I cannot name only one book, so I'm going to be naming 2 books with ENBY love interests that I love with my whole entire ENBY heart. The first of those books is Like Water by Rebecca Podos. Like Water is a book that I read back in 2017, I believe, and I loved it so much. It follows the story of a main character, Savannah, who essentially ends up stuck in her hometown after her father is diagnosed with Huntington's disease. She feels like she has to stay home for obvious reasons, and she ends up feeling really stuck throughout that summer. But along the way, she ends up meeting Lei, who is unlike anyone she's ever met, and between the two of them, sparks fly, and throughout the book, Lei actually does come out as genderqueer, so this book features a female by genderqueer romance that I just loved with my whole entire heart, and I truly feel like this book is super underrated because I haven't heard a lot of people talking about it, but I remember loving it so much when I first read it, so I definitely wanted to give it a shout out in this video. The second book I'm going to mention is one that I have talked about many a time on my channel, because it is one of my absolute favorite books of all time, and that is Girl Made of Stars by Ashley Herring Blake. So similarly, Girl Made of Stars is a book that features a female by genderqueer romance, and this book follows the story of Mara, whose twin brother Owen is accused of raping one of her best friends, Hannah. This story is extremely heart-wrenching and difficult, and I definitely want to give you a huge trigger warning for rape if you plan to read it, because it handles that topic in depth, but I feel like it does it in in one of the absolute best ways I have ever seen any sort of content handle this topic. It is just done so well, and I don't think that I could ever explain how well the author does it. I think that you have to read her author's note to truly understand why she did it the way she did it and just get some more insight into how she handles this topic. But along with this intense plotline and Mara also being forced to come to terms with her own past with sexual assault, she is also in a complicated situation with her best friend and ex-girlfriend, who is Charlie. And Charlie identifies as genderqueer and just likes girls. I don't think that she particularly uses the term lesbian, but she definitely likes girls, and Mara is bi, and along the way sparks begin to fly between the two of them. Again, Charlie really is the genderqueer representation that I have always wanted. I love her character so much, and while she wasn't the focal point of this story, her journey really stuck with me when I read it. So I love this book for a variety of reasons, and I will never stop talking about it because it is truly one of the best books I have ever read. And so obviously I was going to give it a shout out in this video. Question number 2. Name a book that is coming out or has come out in 2019 that features an ENBY character. So for this question, I'm going to go with a book that has definitely gotten quite a bit of love this year, and all of that love is so well deserved, and that is none other than I Wish You All the Best by Mason Deaver. I am sure you all saw this coming. So if you haven't watched my video dedicated to this incredible book, which I highly recommend you do because I think that I did a pretty good job with it, I Wish You All the Best follows the story of Ben DeBacker, who is a non-binary teen who comes out to their parents and is then forced to leave their home because their parents reject them. Ben then has to go live with the older sister that they barely know, and they are really just trying to get through the school year with little to no trouble after all of the trauma they have recently faced. But they then meet Nathan, who is definitely not gonna let that happen, and sparks fly between the two teens, and it is one of the absolute best teen books of all time. The romance in it is beautiful. The way Ben's journey and identity is handled is beautiful, and the non-binary representation in this book is own voices, as Mason themselves also identifies as non-binary, and they truly just write Ben's character so authentically. Mason just writes Ben's journey in such a beautiful and moving manner. I'm not gonna lie, there are some parts of this book that are hard to read. Ben is rejected by their parents, and they do have to deal with some misgendering and just a lot of difficulty in coming to terms with their identity, so it can be hard to read at times, but ultimately this is a love letter to non-binary teens. I just love it with my whole entire heart. I think it's the book that I have been searching for ever since I started realizing what a mess my gender identity is, and I'm so thankful every day to Mason for giving non-binary teens the representation they deserve, and I can just feel that they're going to continue to do so. So obviously I was going to talk about this book in this video because you all should know by now how much I adore it. Question number 3. Name an author who is publicly out as ENBY. Mention their book. So for this question, I am going to be shouting out another one of my favorite authors, and that is Jen Wilde. And I have read 3 of her books so far, but I'm going to be shouting out 2 of them in this video. The first one is The Brightsiders, which came out in 2018. The Brightsiders follows a main character, Emmy King, who is a drummer for a band called The Brightsiders. Essentially, the paparazzi is happy to watch her crash and burn, and she does quite a bit in this story, but along the way she has quite a few friends to help her, and one of those friends happens to be Alfie, one of Emmy's bandmates, and Alfie happens to be the love interest in this book, who is also gender fluid. The romance between these 2 characters is so swoon-worthy and so well done, and Jen Wilde just knows how to write romance, and she knows how to write queer characters, and she knows how to handle themes that deal with entertainment and media, and all of that is showcased so beautifully in this book. I also want to give a shout out to Going Off Script by Jen Wilde, which came out earlier this year in 2019. Going Off Script follows a main character, Bex, who gets an internship for her favorite show, Silver Falls, so she goes down to LA to intern and is saddened to learn that she's basically stuck working with a bunch of privileged cis white men who don't want to give her the time of day. And then her boss takes credit for her script and rewrites her main character, who she wrote as gay, as straight. So Bex and her love interest have to fight the man, and they do it in such a brilliant way. I love this book for a variety of reasons. I love it for the lesbian representation. I love it for the Indian representation, as the love interest in this book is a lesbian Indian character. But there's also a line that is so seamlessly included in this book where Bex mentions that she doesn't really know what she's doing with her gender identity. And while it is not fully explored in this novel, I just really love the integration of that line just so seamlessly, and Jen Rowd really has a way of doing that. She just makes her representation so authentic and so well done, and that's what I really love about her work. And I just think that her books are so unique and they're so queer, and she writes queer books like no other. Question number 3. Shout out 3 booktubers who are publicly out as ENBY. So the 3 booktubers I'm going to be shouting out for this question are, first up, Jessie from Bow Ties and Books. Jessie is such an amazing member of the booktube community. They do so much to uplift other creators in the community, and they are so strong and so kind, and I love their work so much, and I love them as a person and as a creator. Again, they are just so amazing in so many ways, and I really truly believe that they deserve more support. So definitely go click the subscribe button on their channel and watch all of their videos because they deserve it. Next up is Vanessa from Vinexa. Vanessa recently came out as non-binary, and I am so proud of them. And we also only recently became friends, but I'm so glad that we have, because they are so incredible. They are definitely a great face to see on Twitter, and I love their content, I love their personality, and again, they're someone who I truly believe deserves more support. Finally, I'm going to be shouting out Brody from A2 Brody. Brody is someone who I only recently started following, and that was actually through others doing the ENBY booktube tag, but though I don't know them very well, I have loved what I have seen of them so far, so would love to see them get more support as well, and I'm so glad to know them now because I have been missing out for so long. And along with these 3 booktubers, I'm going to link some other book bloggers, book Twitter users, bookstagrammers, etc. who I love in the book community, who identify as non-binary or not cis, down in the description below for you guys to follow them as well. Because like I said, the whole purpose of this booktube tag is to uplift non-binary members of the community. So definitely check them out in the description below and give them a follow and give them your support, because all of these people are people that I love with my whole entire genderqueer heart, and they deserve all of your support, so definitely give it to them if you have the ability to do so. And with that, that is all for this video. It was a short and sweet tag that I believe had a wonderful goal, so I'm so happy I did it, especially today on International Non-Binary Day. And definitely support a couple or all of these non-binary creators that are going to be linked in the description below, because they truly deserve all of your support, and what better way to celebrate International Non-Binary Day. And with that, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like and subscribe, because that stuff makes me happy. And go ahead and comment down below and recommend me some of your favorite non-binary booktubers, or books with non-binary characters, or non-binary authors who are publicly out, and just share the love for other non-binary members of the bookish community, because if this tag has taught me anything, it's that I need to know more ENBY members of the community. And as usual, all of my social media and my Goodreads will be linked in the description below if you'd like to follow me anywhere else. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you're having a lovely day or night wherever you are. Please remember that you are beautiful and you deserve the world, and I will see you soon for a brand new video. Goodbye!